everybody, welcome back to my channel. Happy November, happy holiday season. We're going to be doing our October reading wrap up today. I have 6 books that I finished in October and 1 DNF. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. October was a really good reading month. Everything was pretty high up in stars. The first one is The Debutantes Code by Vestch, which I gave 5 stars. It takes place in Regency, England, like around 1811, and it's the first book in a series, and it follows a debutante. I forget her first name. Her last name is Thorndike, I believe, and she comes home from boarding school ready to start her first season as a debutante, only to discover that her family which I believe her dad is like a baron or something like that, and so her family is actually agents for the crown, and so she gets pulled into her family business. Meanwhile, we have a Bow Street runner named Daniel, and he gets caught up in this like art case that kind of coincides with what her family is working on for the crown, so their paths cross over that, and it's really good. It's a really great mystery. Like I said, it's the first book in a series, and I am currently reading the second book. And I'm going to read the third. So, I'm excited to finish that series, and I gave The Debutantes Code 5 stars. So, I'm looking forward to reading the other 2 books in the series. The next book was Hold Her Close by Currie, which I was on the launch team for, and I absolutely adored. Like, so good. It was 5 stars, going to be in my top 10 list this year for sure. It is the 3rd book in her Crown of Promise series, the final book, and each book follows a different sister in this royal family. So this is about the oldest sister, who is the crown princess, and she has a chronic illness. She's actually barren. She can't have children. And so that is what she's dealing with. But she also, is, along with that, she's very weak and very sickly, and she can't handle much. And she's just working through those revelations with God. And as somebody with a chronic illness, a lot of the prayers that she said throughout the book, and the way she prayed, and the way she felt, and her fears and her insecurities, I just really resonated with. She said some of the same prayers in her books that I have prayed with my diagnosis, and so I found it so personal, and I cried I think multiple times. It was very personal to me, and I just really adored it, and it's definitely going to be in one of my top 10 books this year. So yes. So the next 3 books are actually a series, and that's the Highland Hall series by Turansky. So the first book is The Governess of Highland Hall, and then The Daughter of Highland Hall, and Refuge at Highland Hall. Both The Governess of Highland Hall and The Daughter of Highland Hall I gave 5 stars. I really enjoyed them both. The Governess of Highland Hall follows a young woman who has grown up as a missionary in India, and she and her family return to England because of her father's health. It's like probably around 1907, 1908, somewhere around there. I think it's, somewhere around there. And so she gets a job as a governess to a recently widowed, baron or something like that, low aristocracy. And he has 2 children, and then he has 2 cousins who are his wards, who are older teenagers. And so she takes on the job of not only taking care of the younger children, but also training the 2 older girls for their season. And it is a romance, so it's good. And I really enjoyed it. It had some really great content, some really great faith content, and also an interesting storyline. It had some upstairs, downstairs plots going on as well, so it reminded me a lot of Downton Abbey, like a lot. Like I very got much Downton Abbey vibes as I read it. And then the second book in the series, The Daughter of Highland Hall, follows the oldest cousin, so the one that would have been the ward in book 1, as she does her first season and tries to make a marriage match. And she's actually, there's some scandal going on, and so, you know, she kind of has to hide a little bit, and so she ends up volunteering at a free clinic in the East End of London, so the poor section of London, with her new cousin-in-law's brother. So the girl from the first book who marries the Baron, her brother is like the romantic lead to the girl in the second book, if that makes sense. I hope you know what I mean by that, because I can't remember anybody's names. But it was, first of all, let me just say, I got these books from the library, and this is like an aside. I'm just going to digress a little bit here. I got these books from the library, and inside the cover of the second book, inside the cover of Daughter of Highland Hall, somebody had written, "This is a terrible book, it's so boring, nobody should read this," which, first of all, don't write that kind of thing in a library book, guys. I mean, come on. Maybe she owned this book before she donated to the library. That's not much better, but still, like, don't write that kind of thing in a library book. Like, I just found it very, very annoying. So that was a little aside. But then as I was reading the book, I was like, how did she find this boring? Because there's, like, a murder mystery, there's, like, a family scandal, there's, like, doing work in the East End, there's, like, there was a lot of things. There was a couple mysteries going on, and a couple, like, there was just a lot of storylines, and I was like, there was, like, there was one murder mystery over here, and then there was, like, an unwed pregnant girl over here that was, like, being abused by her baby daddy that the main girl had to go and, like, rescue, and so she got involved in that. And then there was the whole thing with her season and the scandal that was messing up her season and her work at the Daystar Clinic. Like, there was a lot going on, and I was like, how did you find this boring? Like I can understand if somebody thought the first book was boring because it was very much just took place in the manor house, very much Downton Abbey kind of stuff. But this book, it had a lot going on. Like, I don't know how anybody found it boring because there was a lot there. But anyway, that was a whole aside. I gave it 5 stars. It was very good. And then the third book in the series, Refuge at Highland Hall, that one I only gave 4 stars. It takes place with the second female cousin, so the younger sister of the girl from the second book, and it actually takes place during World War I, and so their home, Highland Hall in the country, becomes kind of a refuge for a bunch of kids from the city that are fleeing the bombs, which they're not just random kids, like they're a part of the mission work that the couple from the second book does, so like they're kind of like family, but they're also like orphans and stuff. Anyway, and she is helping out with the kids and all that, but she's also writing to a pilot in the Royal Air Force, and you know, World War I is when, you know, planes started to be used in aircraft, so the book delved a lot into like the progression of how we used airplanes in warfare, which was kind of interesting, and I thought that was very well researched. So it had that going on, but I only gave this one 4 stars because while I enjoyed it throughout the whole book, and I kept reading it, like I enjoyed it a lot, like I finished it in the afternoon, and then I sat down that very evening, like with my reading journal, and I was like, okay, what did I like about this book? And then I could think of nothing. Like, I knew that I had enjoyed it the whole time I was reading it, and there was nothing I didn't like, but at the end, I couldn't necessarily recall anything that I specifically liked. Like, it was just kind of all there. I was like, it was good, but I don't know, can't think of anything I like. So I was like, okay, it's not going to be 5 stars because nothing's really standing out as super memorable to me, but it was still good. So it was 4 stars. Okay, the 6th book that I finished, the last book that I finished, is Hope Like Wildflowers by Pepper Basham. This is the 3rd book in the Blue Ridge Mountains series. I don't know if that's the series name. I don't know if it really has a series name. But it's the completion of that. We learned, it follows the story of Kizzy, which is the sister of 2 of the characters in the first 2 books that we hear about her in the first 2 books, but we have no idea what happened to her. So in this 3rd book, we find out what happened to her. And I gave it 5 wonderful stars. It was so good. It was very moving. You know what I love about Pepper Basham, honestly, is that she is so versatile. because like you've got her books like the Edgewood sibling books that are really funny and very upbeat and very light and very romantic, and then you've got like her mystery books like the Freddie and Grace mysteries that are historical and they've got like the mystery going on and that's fun. And then you've got like these books which like Hope Like Wildflowers, it's definitely, I mean it is a romance, but it's not as light as or as upbeat or as funny as the other book. It is definitely a very moving spiritual journey that it follows Kizzy on, and it's very deep, and it's just, she does it so well, and she does all these different genres so well. Like, I'm just amazed at her talent. So anyway, Hope Like Wildflowers is so good. So good. Read it, guys. Like, just read it. And then finally I have a DNF, which is The Girl Who Could Breathe Underwater by Erin Bartels. And I was really excited for this one. I've had it on my shelf for about a year, and I kept meaning to get to it, and I finally did, and I was super excited about it because, first of all, like, that title is super intriguing. I mean, who wouldn't like that title? Second of all, I thought the back of the book looks interesting. It's about, like, an author who has just debuted her first novel, and she gets like this scathing review letter that tells her, you know, nothing could have been like you wrote it and all this stuff, and that's so unrealistic. And she gets really upset because she wrote it, I guess, based on her own past. And so the way the back of the book describes it is that she goes back to her hometown to confront her best friend's brother, who's like the bad guy in her book, to see if things happen like the way it did. And based on that back of the book ad, phone call. Based on that back of the book ad, I kind of assumed it would be a little bit of like a second chance romance. Like maybe they had some misunderstanding in the past that now they're going to clear up and like get together, and she's going to heal from this moment that she didn't understand fully or whatever. But as I read, and I got through about 6 chapters, and the more I read, I was like, the more I got the inkling that rather than just some misunderstanding that she may not have remembered correctly, like the back of the book made it seem, the more I read, it made me feel like maybe she had been, I don't know the politically correct, the video safe way to say that, maybe she had been molested by this person. And so I skipped ahead to like the end to just confirm my suspicions, and I did confirm them. And by the time I got to chapter 6, I realized not only had this happened, but it happened when she was like 11 or 12, and this, you know, brother was a lot older, and I was like, close the book, slide the book away, like, and you know, this is Christian fiction, so obviously she's going to go on some kind of healing journey throughout the book, and I think that's really important. I think it's unfortunately something that happens in real life, and the fact that God can heal people through that is amazing, and this book is probably one that many people need to read and can be very much moved by, but it's not a topic that I personally enjoy reading about, and it's not a topic that I like to read about. It's just, it's not for me. So I was like, yeah, I see where this is going. I don't want to subject myself to that kind of story. So yeah, just put it down, slide it away. It's not for me. So that's all I have to say about that. And that is all of my October wrap up. So I hate to end it on such a negative note, but I don't really have anything else to say. So I will see you guys in the next one.